Acquiring new customers is the expensive part of marketing. So just like marketing to current customers is the least expensive because they're in your database already, you have their email addresses, etc. To acquire new customers, to pull them out of the air, so to speak, and get them aware and interested in it, to try your product or service, that takes money to get your name and your brand out there. But again, you're not going for everybody in the world to try your product. You are taking the benefit of your knowledge of who are your best customers, and you are finding out everything you can about them. Do they like to ski? Do they like to knit? Do they live in Alabama? Are they 40 to 49 years old, etc., etc., etc.? And you're doing everything you can to find media, to find websites, films, magazines, billboards, whatever the case may be, to reach them. But advertising costs money. Producing videos costs money. But how do you reach the customers then? New prospects and persuade them to try? Obviously advertising. The way to reach them is public relations. Now, public relations is a whole separate class here at FIT. It's a fascinating topic. I'm a huge believer in public relations. I've used it many times in my career. And every once in a while, my team has scored a big one, so to speak. They touchdown with public relations. I'm going to give you one quick example of public relations from my career. For a while there, I was worldwide chief marketing officer for a company called MadJink. M as in Mary, A-G-I-N as in Nancy, K. I'm not even sure the website still exists, but it was an Israeli technology. So I spent a lot of time going to Israel, to the headquarters, and also going around the world because we were pitching customers all around the world. MadJink had developed an amazing technology. It was a full-color digital ink display screen. If you guys have Kindles or ever seen a Kindle is two-color digital ink. It's called e-ink is the technology. And for a variety of reasons, it can only be two colors. It can't be full color. But MadJink, an Israeli genius from the military there, who left the military, combined with this British PhD to develop a way to, within something, a flat screen with no light behind it, to show colors. And that was MadJink. And MadJink was needing to raise money. It was a startup. So you'll find out if you work for startups, it's not always the easiest thing in the world because the company runs out of money. You've got to get a bridge loan from someone to pay salaries. You've got to raise more money. So MadJink was always having to raise more money. And we got lucky. I hired a firm that I'd used at 1-800-Flowers.com when I ran marketing there. And these guys managed to get an article for us placed in the technology section of the New York Times. It doesn't exist anymore. But there was a separate technology section that ran every Wednesday. And so the top technology reporter visited a MadJink display that we actually had put up in Jersey City and wrote a great article about us, the great technology. Mitsubishi was our manufacturing partner, so we had some credentials. It was an amazing technology. And it ran in U.S. New York Times. It also ran in the international paper, the Herald Tribune, which was also owned by the New York Times at that time. And because of those articles, we got investors to give us another round of financing. So that's PR. We didn't have to pay the New York Times anything. We paid the public relations firm, and because we had something novel that had some news to it, we got the coverage in the paper that helped us. So PR is amazing. It's now merged quite often with social media marketing. DM is direct mail. It's another way to get new customers, where you would rent somebody else's list that matches your best prospect list, and you would do testing, and you would try to do some mail or some email to them. You've got face-to-face selling, which there's less and less of, but if you know anything about Avon or Tupperware, these are two companies where people would be sellers for the companies, and they would give parties at their homes for their friends and acquaintances and sell them the products right there, face-to-face. In the old days, there used to be, traveling salesman, a person who would go around with vacuum cleaners or selling encyclopedias, who would literally go door to door and knock on doors and try to talk people who open the door into buying their products. So face-to-face selling. It's mostly done in B2B these days, where you can afford the luxury of having one person, getting a pretty good salary usually, call on your clients, because each client could be worth millions of dollars. So face-to-face selling is another way to get new customers. And of course, there's advertising. Big issue with all new customer acquisition is, how much does it cost? What is the cost per customer? How much am I paying per customer? That is tracked very carefully, of course, in direct. So these are key characteristics of direct marketing as opposed to branding marketing. So let's just quickly kind of read through these. And we've got customer and prospect databases that make one-to-one targeting possible, i.e. email. Customers are viewed as assets with lifetime value. It's not just the one transaction when they first buy from you. It's what are they going to do over their lifetime. Direct marketing is all about building loyalty over the long term. It's all about segmenting your customer database to find different pockets of opportunities. It's about testing. In direct marketing, you are always testing. So if you send out a mass email to 1 million of your customers, you're going to be holding back 10,000 or 20,000 to try different subject lines on the email to see if that outperforms the main email. So you're always testing, trying to improve your results. Benefit-oriented direct response advertising, measurability and accountability for costs kind of goes along with testing. You're able to talk to customers on a group basis, but more and more on a personalized and individualized basis. I think you'll agree, most of you shop at Amazon. Amazon makes specific recommendations for you based on what you've looked at and what you bought. That's one-to-one marketing. That's personalized, individualized marketing. Amazon is the best at that. Multimedia, direct response communication. You do it more than one media. Multi-channel fulfillment and distribution means that many times the direct marketing, you ship things from a warehouse. You may also have retail, other ways of distributing the product. And the key thing here is that the customer doesn't get to go try on the shoes that they buy from the shoe website. You don't get to try on the shoes, see how they look, and see whether they pinch at your toes. You've got to overcome your nervousness about that somehow, because you know that if they don't fit, you'll be able to send them back and get your money back, get another size, whatever the case may be. So you're buying on faith, based on your trust with the manufacturer. And here's another little teeny tiny writing comparison between direct marketing and traditional brand marketing. So on direct, you can identify a customer by name, address, and purchase behavior. With brand marketing, you're not going against the database. You're sending it out. You're doing advertising for the most part, not going direct by email, but you're casting your information out more generally to people and not really targeting specific people. With direct, you have the added value of distribution direct to the customer. And with brand marketing, you're usually not sending it to the customer's door. They're usually having to buy it at retail. The medium is the marketplace with direct. In other words, you're doing your selling is done on the website or in the direct mail piece. And with traditional brand marketing, the selling's done at retail. The deal is closed at retail. And you can read the rest of these. I want you to look here, though, at advertising is used to generate an immediate response, an inquiry, or an order. Remember, it's for making things happen. Branding, this is key. It's the cumulative effort over time building an image awareness. And there's no offer in it, so you're not pushing for a decision. You're just warming somebody up. Okay, so also customer feels a risk with direct because they're not able to touch and try the product, which is why sites like Amazon give reviews and guarantees, et cetera, to reduce the risk. But with brand marketing, they feel less risk because they can try the product and make sure the shoe fits. So this is very quick review of branding versus direct. Now let's also fairly quickly talk about B2B in terms of direct marketing. B2B means business to business. So my business's customers are other businesses. I'm selling machines that make tractor tires to big companies with big factories that are making tractors, for example. So my customers are companies, not just individual consumers. Question for all of you. You know I like these anagrams. Who out there in this class knows what an RFP is? It's not reach frequency. What is an RFP? RFP is used in B2B to get MVCs. RFP is a request for a proposal. So when a business wants to purchase something, they very often will write up a document which specifies exactly what they're looking for. Something like this. This is an RFP template. So you see it's objective and purpose. What are the key dates? When do I need this? When do I need that? This is written out by the companies that's doing the purchasing. What's the history leading up to the events? What are the service and work requirements? What do I need? How many do I need? By when? What do they have to do? What are the minimum strength required? Mandatory requirements. There's pricing. So how are you going to price everything? To me, based on this quantity or that quantity, for instance, you've got submission guidelines. So here's how you actually need to submit something that fits a template. So every company that submits is basically sending in the same information. And this is what companies, particularly even the U.S. government, insists on in RFPs. So I'm showing you this RFP because this is what happens with a business-to-business transaction. This is frequently what starts it off. Now let's think a little bit more about B2B. So what is a typical B2B purchase cycle? So for instance, on the B2C, business to consumer, if I'm eating cereal, how often do I buy a new box of cereal with a family of 6? At least once a week, probably more. So the purchase cycle is very frequent, very short with most B2C. But with B2B, guess what? It's annual for the most part. It's annual. So most companies have what's called a fiscal year. So for financial reporting purposes, they close their year, they end their year. It's usually calendar year. Sometimes it isn't. Procter & Gamble's fiscal year starts in July, for instance. Now, a key performance indicator for B2B is renewal rate. How many of your current customers come back? That is key. If you have a high renewal rate of 80% or more, you're doing a great job. If you don't, you've got to fix the leak in the bucket, have a better product or better service, or you're going to be in trouble. Database size is going to be low in B2B. You don't have as many customers. You don't have millions. You may have hundreds. And that's it for now.